Good afternoon, students. This is Dr. Morgan Phenix, coming to you from Stanley, Virginia. It's a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon, quite hot. It's over 90 degrees already this afternoon, and I'm sure it's going to go higher than that. Here we go. We're going now into week 4, and you have a new assignment during this week. It's a case study. It's 100 points, so worth a lot of points, in addition to your journal article critique and your discussion board, so it's a big week. I'd like to give you some very, very brief pointers on the case study. I would first of all like to remind you that these case studies represent typical kinds of dilemmas that you will face as an administrator, as a site administration, or as a subject matter administrator, as a leader in your building, or as a teacher. And when you encounter something that is perhaps a little bit out of kilter, you have to figure how you're going to approach the matter. Alrighty, and these case studies give you ample opportunity in that. Okay? First of all, reminder of what this assignment is. It is not a research paper on a subject. You will be given a document that defines and describes the entire scenario, and this is the only source material. There's no outside research. It's not an essay about English language learners or about immigration or about special education. It has nothing to, well, it has everything to do with those things. But in this case, it is about Serge Ramanic, a Serbian student, an elementary school student that has never learned the English language. He's here in the States. He's never gone to school in his native tongue. He's been in France. He's been around the world. He's got a lot of problems, okay? But he's a pretty good kid. In fact, he's a remarkable child. Alrighty? You have a 2-page scenario, and then there's a question or 2 or 3 at the end, and it asks these questions, and these become the basis of your summary and of your thesis statement that you will begin with. Okay, it says here, do you think Serge's skills were assessed adequately? Do you think he was correctly identified as learning disabled? And that's the thesis statement at the top. Is this child mislabeled? That's what this case is about. And once again, it is no outside research, no reference to anything, okay? Please, just use this document. In week 7, however, you'll be choosing one of 3 scenarios. One about Dan, it's a discipline case, and about Emily, it's a special education case, severe and profound, and then about Robert, it's a cultural sensitivity case. But here's the formatting, and the formatting, I require that you do it this way. You know, I require it, though I don't take off points, but I know you will lose points if you write an essay on this subject. You will lose points because the actual meat of the case and the details will get lost in your beautiful essay. Okay, this assignment is in 3 parts. It's a summary for 20 points, a SWOT outline for 50 points. That's 50 points now, and case recommendations list for 30 points. And I'm going to define these very, very clearly. First of all, it's a 1-page summary of what you read. Nothing else. It's a 1-page summary of the actual case. No research, none whatsoever. Okay? That's all there is to it. 1.5 pages, maybe 2 pages if you really want to go that far. You can probably cover it in 1 page, double spaced. But begin with a thesis statement. I believe that Serge Ramanic was adequately assessed and appropriately placed. I don't believe that Serge was. Okay, some students even mix those two, mix and match, and that's with special education. That's always an issue. But don't go looking for outside research on it. Give it your best shot. Okay. Then we go to what's called a SWOT. Okay, it's also a 1-page or 1.5 page part of this assignment. The total thing should be less than 4 pages. A SWOT outline. What is SWOT? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. In the business world, it's typically done in a quadrant format. Strengths and weaknesses of the program or of the marketing business side of a venture, and then opportunities and threats, which are typically outside. In educational environments, they can typically all be found within and also without outside of the program. Strengths are the things that are going well, that were done well. Weaknesses are the things that were not done well, were perhaps missed even. Opportunities are things that they didn't think about, that didn't think to tap certain features of the scenario. And threats, that's these terrible things that can happen if we don't get things right. I would like to ask that you do the SWOT in an outline format. Here you go. It should look just like this. And list 4 or 5 or 6 strengths, 4 or 5 or 6 weaknesses. In this case, they're very, very simple to find. Opportunities, some things that they didn't do, they could have done, and threats, things that really could go wrong if they don't get this right. And 4 or 5 or 6 of each of these. Okay, double spaced, it'll take you about 1.25 pages, page and a half. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Here you go. There is a teacher in the school named Mrs. Evans. She is totally on board with cultural sensitivity. She loves her Serbian students, and there are many Serbian students in this school. Keep that in mind. That's part of the scenario that you know about. Okay, there's lots of Serbian kids there. That means there's probably a large Serbian community. Okay, so everybody will list Mrs. Evans here. Here's how you word it. Something like Mrs. Evans's cultural sensitivity. Bingo, that's enough. Mrs. Evans's relationship with her students and their culture. Okay, that's enough to define it. Let me give you one that should not be coming anywhere on the SWOT. Serge Ramanich doesn't speak any English. That is not a weakness. Okay. If you want to describe Serge in some of these, you can plug him in a couple places. But the fact that he doesn't speak English is not a weakness. That fact is an opportunity in a school that had many programs that they could tap into. They could place him in. There's also some other personnel in the building. There's the principal. The Mr. Sims, the principal, should appear somewhere on the SWOT as to how you think he did. And a principal had better be a strength. Okay, so see what you think about that. That's giving one away. Alrighty. So this is also one page, maybe a page and a half, and then and that's 50 points. You're gonna finish up with your case recommendations. Where do you get your best recommendations from? From your SWOT. If you have strengths, you enhance them. Okay. If you have weaknesses, you fix them. Okay. If you have opportunities, you tap those opportunities, and if you have threats, you better look out and take care of them. So, and use action words here. Don't necessarily use mine, but here's what I would do, and make a list, just a list. I would set up a committee. I would allow for this. I would encourage such and such. I would establish. I would organize. Use those kind of words. And text weakens. If you write an essay for your SWOT or for your case recommendations, I guarantee you will lose points because you will only have one or two recommendations in there, but a beautifully crafted, flowery speech there about children, something like that. I don't know, but you'll lose points. All right, that's it. Any questions, post them on the Ask Dr. Phenix forum. Now, one last thing here, and I'm going to present this again next week. I read my student course evaluations very, very carefully, and there is a recurring issue about week 8, that it is way too much going on there. There's a journal article critique, a discussion board, and your final project, which is a big deal. It takes a lot of time. And so what I have been doing in the past is I've been allowing students to revise an earlier journal article critique, so you don't have to look for a brand new one. Okay, and that's worked out pretty well. I love doing that. It saves me a little bit of time also. But I would like to expand that because there are a couple things going on in week 8 or that are not going on in week 8 that I think would work out better. Here you go. Listen to this. For week 8, and I'll show this again next week. For week 8, I'll allow you to do your journal article critique as usual, or do a revision of an earlier journal article critique. You would just have to indicate that it's a revision and the points that you received during that week. Okay, say I'm revising week 3 journal article critique. I received 46 points. Okay. So that you could do that, or instead of doing a journal article critique, this is a one-time affair, and I can do it because I will not be teaching this course next term, and I'm weighing the future. Okay, so at age 70, one weighs the future a lot. Okay, so you could do a journal article critique or revise a journal article critique, or you can do a one-page case study summary from one of the 2 alternatives that you don't choose in week 7. In week 7, remember, did I tell you, there are 3 case studies to choose from. There's Dan, the behavior issue, there's Emily, the special education issue, and there is Robert, the cultural sensitivity issue and bullying. Okay, and you're going to do one of those, whichever one you want to do. So in week 8, you can choose one of those 2 that you didn't do in week 7, and do a brief summary, a brief list SWOT, and a brief case recommendation block, 1 page total. Okay, and that might be a sort of a fun thing to do, just to read that case scenario carefully. Do a very, very brief 1 page, basically a summary including a SWOT and a case recommendations list, instead of doing your journal article critique. The only other requirement that I have here, absolutely required, is that if you take an option, if you do anything other than the journal article critique as usual, you are to comment about how it worked out, so that I can include that in my recommendation to Liberty University and to Beth Ackerman, who I believe is the person that designed this course. It's a great course. It's a fantastic course. I'm also going to ask her if you would like in week 8 in the discussion board to include some statement as to what it would to tell your classmates of what you did for your final project. That is a glaring omission in this course, is that there is no sharing of final projects among students at all. So we're going to do that this term no matter what. I'm going to adjust the forum for this term only in week 8 to include not only what they are asking. I'm not going to make a major adjustment to this course without permission, but I'm going to also allow you and encourage you to share with classmates your final project, which should actually be the most important part of this course. And that's what the forum question is about anyway. What is most important? What is most important? But you can also share your what you have created during week 8 in the discussion board. Alrighty, that's it for today. No special treats today. I'm sorry I don't have any dogs. The same ones are on the chair back there. They could just as well be dead stuffed animals. If you could just see the top of the 2 ears on the top there, and that's my dog. Okay. I want to thank you very, very much for your dedication to the course. You're doing well. Things are going well across the board, and I really get a kick out of that. So we'll see you next time, Lord willing. Bye-bye.